Hello class, this is Isabella Robinson and I'll be talking about promoting health and safety strategies for children in the classroom today. This is an assignment for the ECE 624 classroom at Arizona University. The teacher's role in promoting the health and safety of children and their care. Schools provide an important setting for promoting health and safety habits. That's why to empower child care teachers to serve as role models for all health behaviors may benefit child and teachers' wellness. Teachers and families should partner in promoting the child's well-being. The teacher and the primary caregiver have the opportunity to partner to promote the child's well-being. Through the exchange of knowledge between families and the provider, a program can enhance health and safety awareness. Prior to attending the program, all children should have had a physical exam that in Michigan we call Well Child. That report offers an update on the child's overall health, showing the opportunities for growth as well as areas of concern. Some of those concerns might be chronic and may require ongoing medical attention. That will make the family-teacher partnership even more relevant. Other findings are related to the child's development and expected milestones. Another important document families must submit is the most current immunization record. Those families who choose to not vaccinate their children must present a written note from their doctor to excuse them from having the immunization. Oftentimes, during the visit, the doctor explains to the families the benefits of immunization and the risks that they face on attending daycare without proper vaccines. The drop-off is one of the most important times of the day for children's families and the provider. It's important that the caregiver greets the families and connects with them as well as the child. And while connecting with the child, the caregiver should perform the daily health check. The caregiver must take time to look at the child, listen to signs, and feel and smell if necessary to understand whether the child is well for the day. On the right side, there is a suggested daily health checklist with some reference where we can see if the child has signs or symptoms of illness or injury and how this could look like. Another resource that I'm including in this training is a video that shows an example of daily health check offered properly at the moment of drop-off. It can be a challenge addressing the needs of greeting the family and doing the health check on the child. So this video will clarify some of your doubts as well as illustrate some strategies. As parents drop off their children at the school, teachers should use the time to engage with the families and learn more about their needs as well as doubts, areas of concerns about their child's development and well-being. This video provides an example of how to simultaneously greet parents and assess child's health. Physical fitness. Considering that most of our students spend 6 to 7 hours a day in our school, it becomes particularly relevant the amount of physical activity that the children do during the day. It is part of our school protocol that children spend at least 10 minutes of every hour in care doing physical activities. For our program, it puts our intentional fitness time with somewhere about 70 minutes. Active play hours support physical development skills such as sensory motor, hand-eye coordination, gross and fine motor skills. Such activities should be part of the predictable daily routine, as consistency also supports cognitive development as it promotes opportunities for self-regulation, making kids more open to taking risks and learning new things. Safety in the classroom. First of all, a safe classroom must follow licensing and DHHS health and safety guidelines. Secondly, the environment must be pleasant, clean, and comfortable, allowing opportunities for quiet time as well for active play. The surroundings must be hazard-free, and children must feel included and welcome in their own unique way. As children spend a greater portion of their day under our care, it's important to promote the following strategies or awareness by including those health habits into the daily routine and practices. Toothbrushing, nutritious menu, ongoing daily health checks, physical exercise, hand wash, keeping hazard material storage away from children access, update child's information record, and keep the space well supervised. The basic principles of physical development that are predictable patterns of growth and development that allow us to predict how and when most children will develop certain milestones. Our goal as teachers is to recognize those patterns so we can scaffold upon them, as well as develop strategies to maximize a learned skill while challenging the child to learn new ones and move forward developmentally. I will highlight 3 principles of development in this video. The Cephalocaudal Principle. This development is also known as head to tail, as it addresses the fact that children will develop the area around their head and show disparate development in their hands and feet. When planning activities for children, it's important to consider that principle and understand that an infant and toddler may be able to grasp objects before they can skip or kick. The Proximal Distal Principle talks about the development that happens from the midline to the extremities. The spinal cord develops before the hands develop before the fingers, and the feet develops before the toes. To understand this process helps teachers respect the physical limitations of children at any given time, as well as supports them to plan developmentally appropriate strategies to promote and scaffold learning in the classroom. The Orthogenetic Principle. The idea that the child evolves progressively, considering that simple skills, inclusive cognitive and perceptive ones, develop before complex ones. It is important to look at the child as a whole individual and not segregate them into small areas of development. Meaning that teachers should understand that all areas of development are important and relevant for the overall physical and mental well-being of the children. On this illustration on the right, we see a drawing that has a question. Why do children's drawing change as cognitive and motor skills develop? This is the kind of thing we understand through the orthogenetic principle. Developmental Theory. Over the years, many theories have been developed to express and explain human growth and development. Our book highlights some of the main theories. All of them have similar aspects of addressing the human development into predictable stages with the ultimate goal of promoting well-being and safety for children. Jean Piaget, for example, brings attention to the interaction of child and their environment and how this supports the construction of self-identity. Erik Erikson talks about how children pass through different social stages of development. Sigmund Freud, children pass through different psychosexual stages motivated by body pleasure. Levi Vygotsky highlights the importance of culture and social connection for mental health. He also addresses play as the main element to lead children into the optimum learning zone. As early childhood educators, we must combine the information we gather from the partnership with the families to develop a safe and healthy strategic approach to child's development. All this knowledge acquired today during this training shall be converted into meaningful lesson plans and classroom management skills. When an educator can observe a child and develop an age-appropriate academic goal, the classroom becomes less stressful, families are more likely to connect, and the overall quality improves in the work environment. Thanks for your attention.